Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm part of the Bradery Girls community group. Today, we are continuing our series on practices. Spiritual practices are things we do regularly in order to connect with God and become like Jesus. There are lots of different things that can fit into that category. Tonight, we're talking about reading the Bible. Think about a time when you read or learned something that has influenced you or changed you in some way. I have a couple examples. This is one of my most favorite books to read to my kids when they were little. Flip, Flap, Fly by Phyllis Root. I love the cute pictures and the story. This page is adorable. Paddle, quacks the baby duck, paddle and skedaddle. So the mama helps the baby duck, polly wolly paddle. So now I say paddle and skedaddle all the time. Come on kids, we've got to paddle and skedaddle to get ready for school. The second example is when I learned from articles online, as well as books and friends, that all the bushes in the forested area of my yard were invasive. Invasive means that these plants are not native to this area and that they take over natural areas, leaving the native plants unable to compete. Okay, pretty sure that this is the common buckthorn, which I think means that this giant thing is also a buckthorn. Once I learned this, it changed everything. I used to look out into my yard and just see bushes and trees, and I didn't care very much about them. But now I saw invasive buckthorn and invasive honeysuckle and invasive white mulberry. I started seeing them in other places too, on walks around my neighborhood and while riding in the car. Once I knew that they were invasive, I knew I had to get rid of them. So it started a years-long project to cut them all down and plant native plants. I had never really cared much about gardening before, but now I had a mission and a purpose to get rid of the invasive and put in native. And all of a sudden, I started to love gardening. I even loved weeding sometimes, because it felt so satisfying to dig all those weeds out. So when I read and learned about the invasive plants, it changed my perspective. I started noticing things I never noticed before, and it changed my actions and my interests and hobbies. Today's practice of reading the Bible is a lot like my examples, but to an even greater extent for how much it can change us. The Bible is God's word, God's wisdom, and through it, we can learn about who God is and who we are. We believe that God's wisdom can change us. It can change our perspective and start noticing things we never noticed before. It can change how we talk. It can change how we view ourselves and other people. It can change our actions, our values, our purpose, our interests and hobbies. For me, reading the Bible at church, with friends, and on my own has changed all of those things. Sure, learning about invasive plants has changed my relationship with my yard, but reading the Bible and having God's wisdom has changed my relationship with every area of my life. My yard will always be a work in progress, and so am I. And Flip, Flap, Fly has given our family this cool phrase, paddle and skedaddle. But the Bible shapes how I talk about everything. There are lots of ways to interact with God's Word. There are also lots of reasons that reading the Bible is tricky. And you'll get to talk about that in your groups. And you'll get to interact with the Bible in a couple different ways in your group tonight and in the weeks coming up. We're going to spend a few weeks after tonight on a mini-series on this spiritual practice, where we'll read from one book of the Bible in a few different ways. I'm so excited for these weeks ahead, and I'm really looking forward to our small group conversations tonight. So paddle and skedaddle onto your groups and have a great discussion.